Tom Vasso. Welcome to Board Game Breakfast, being recorded live here at the airport on our way home from Gen Con. Gen Con was a crazy con, lots of things going on. We have so many things to talk about, so many games. Obviously, we will ask you, give us some leeway on getting these games reviewed, because there is so many of them. We were able to post daily blogs from Gen Con. My daughter Amy and Melody, they were able to post a blog each day, so you can go check those out if you want to see what happened at Gen Con. I'll be doing a live Q&A at some point, live unboxings. Just watch our schedule for that sort of thing as they come up. But we are now back into full production. You're going to be seeing all kinds of videos and reviews and things coming, interviews that we did at Gen Con. I'm excited about all that stuff, but I'm mostly excited to get playing some games. But first, as always, the news. Talk about the news. There is a ton of it, so if I miss some, will come out next week. And in fact, there won't be any Kickstarter news from Suzanne this week, so let's revel in the goodness of regular news. Fantasy Flight Games announced a whole pile of stuff. One of the things, they announced a lot of new X-Wing ships, and they announced the Executor giant ship for Armada, but they announced a Game of Thrones expansion for the board game. There be dragons. Not only is this going to add a few new factions to the game, Daenerys and stuff, but you can play with all eight factions, 8 players, which I think is insane. But you can also play with the vassal method, where you can have smaller factions be vassals of you. Munchkin Warhammer 40,000. Yeah, that's actually a thing. But it's actually a Warhammer-themed Munchkin. At first I thought it was the other way around, because that'd be interesting to see a Munchkin-themed Warhammer 40,000. Restoration Games made a huge announcement with the Dark Tower, which is not going to be the exact same game, but they're bringing back Dark Tower for those of you who love that. And they're going to be reworking it. It's still going to have the tower. It's still going to have a lot of elements of the original game. Rob Davio, who's been helping Restoration Games, will be working on it along with Isaac Childress, who designed Gloomhaven. So these two designers together, that'd be fantastic. I'm sure we'll see a Kickstarter for that one next year, and then the game will be released at some point after that. North Star has announced several new games, but one of them is Dude and More Dude. These look like Dude versions of Happy Salmon. Stronghold Games has announced Aftershock. This is a co-design between Alan Moon and Bobby West. It is about building and then having earthquakes come through. It has a really interesting card mechanism where you'll take some cards. This way they explained it anyway. You have some cards in your hand, you'll buy some of them, you'll put the rest in front of you. Other players can buy those cards, and any cards they don't buy, you get for free. I like that concept. Speaking of Stronghold Games, they have merged with Indie Boards and Cards to form a single company, the Indie Game Studios. Now, this is one company. It makes them a pretty big company, actually. Indie Board, it's going to have 3 studios underneath it: Indie Boards and Cards, Action Phase Games, and Stronghold Games. So those will each be a studio. They'll be producing games. This puts Resistance and Coup together with Terraforming Mars. It makes them a pretty potent force in the gaming industry. It'll be very interesting to see where this one leads. Pandasaurus has announced Machi Koro Legacy. Oh, they're also doing an anniversary edition of Machi Koro, which is nice. But Machi Koro Legacy, now, when I first heard this, I thought it was a joke. I'm sure some of you are thinking that, but it sounds pretty interesting, where you're going to go through and play, and at the end of the game, you'll have a set of cards that you like. Maybe you have less attack cards. Maybe you have more attack cards. So that should be interesting. IDW announced Batman Gotham City Under Siege. This is based on one of the greatest cartoons in history, the Batman animated series. Has some miniatures and things like that. They also announced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures. This is basically redoing, it looks like an upgraded version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game with dice, but it's going to have some different rules and things, so very excited. Renegade has announced an expansion for Clank Expeditions. Gold and Silk, which has spiders in it and things like that. Not only did they announce it, they released it at Gen Con. Power Rangers is another game coming from them. They're going to be kickstarting this one, Heroes of the Grid. So if you like Power Rangers, looks like it will be a solid board game from a good company. Asmodee Digital has announced Gloomhaven. Now, this is not a copy of the board game. This is a different game that's supposed to appeal to video gamers and to people who like Gloomhaven. I'm not quite sure of all the details, but we'll find out more as time goes by. Remember I was talking about Fantasy Flight Games earlier? Well, they have also announced Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. This is going to replace the second edition. It's a different game, has a lot of the same things in it, has a modular board though, so it looks like if you really liked Arkham Horror, second edition, hang on to it, because this one looks like it changes a lot of things. So now do I get rid of Eldritch and keep Arkham? It's very confusing. Gamelin has announced Tiny Epic Mechs. This is going to be coming to Kickstarter. Has little mechs that meeples go inside. I saw a version of this at Origins. It looks fun, you know. The Tiny Epic games I always have mixed feelings on, but this one I'm excited about. Renegade, back to Renegade. They announced Altiplano the Traveler, an expansion for Altiplano that adds more stuff. So Altiplano, the bag building game that a lot of people enjoy, now you can get more of it. Plaid Hat Games has announced Gen 7, we've been waiting for a long time game. That's the next Crossroads games. I don't know much more about that. I think you're on like a ship that's traveling to another planet and the habitats are failing and wada wada wada. Who knows? But looks really good. I'm excited about any new Crossroads game. Back to Fantasy Flight Games. They announced Keyforge. This is a completely different style game than anything we've seen before. Each deck is completely different than every deck ever in the world. It's from a pool of 350 cards, but the back of your cards will look completely different than everyone else's. Unbelievably cool. I'll be doing a preview of it soon. Christian Peterson, on the same hand, who is the CEO of Fantasy Flight Games, has resigned his position. He's going to be leaving the company. Seems all up on the up and up. Seems all good, but it is a big deal. He's the person who built Fantasy Flight Games. And then, last but not least, I have my own special announcement. Let's make it now. So we're excited to announce Dice Tower West. This is going to be a convention that's very much in line with Dice Tower Con that we already run in Orlando, Florida, which is exciting. We're looking forward to doing that one, of course, next year. Dice Tower West is going to be this March. It is going to be directly before the Gamma Trade Show, so many publishers are going to be able to swing through on their way to that show. It's going to be 750 people. It's going to be at the Westgate Resort in Las Vegas, and it's going to be fantastic, folks. We're going to start Wednesday night and go all the way through 24-hour gaming. Library's going to be open the entire time. You'll be able to go through and play as many games as you want, as long as you want. It's just mostly open gaming and a lot of fun. Now, this convention is a reworking of MeepleCon, which already exists in that time frame. So we are taking MeepleCon and working with the folks who ran MeepleCon. So if you went to MeepleCon, you will still love it, have a great time. And we're really excited to see the future of how this will grow. And so we've been asked a lot by people on the West Coast to do this. So we'll be announcing details and special guests and things like that as time goes by. And you can also go to dicetowerwest.com to get more information about it. And of course, check out social media and all that stuff. We hope to see you there. Registration opens 1 month from now. So keep an eye on that date. Let's keep moving.
Today is a World War II tactical submarine game, and it's called The Hunters, German U-Boats at War, 1939 to 1943. Basically, the premise of this game is you sail out, you spot your targets, and you sink them. So you add up tonnage. When you add up tonnage, you get promoted. So in the beginning, you choose your submarine. You arm your submarine, you plan out a route, you write it down on your log sheet, and you're off sailing. While you're sailing, there's missions that you have. You can be laying down mines, you can be dropping off a VIP at another port, or you can be joining wolf packs for a different type of attack. While you're on patrol, a lot of things can happen. You spot your target. Do they spot you? Do you surface? Do you stay submerged? You launch a torpedo. Is a torpedo a dud? Do they have an escort? If you've been spotted, they're coming after you. They're dropping depth charges. Do you have damage? If you have damage, it's your engine. Can you turn around? You sink. The Hunters, a solitaire tactical World War II German submarine game published by Constant World and designed by Gregory M. Smith. Next up is Fort Sumter, The Secession Crisis, 1860 to 1861, a game designed by Mark Herman, published by GMT. Fort Sumter is a two-player, medium complexity game portraying the secession crisis of 1860, leading to the bombardment of Fort Sumter and the beginning of the American Civil War. The gap is getting smaller between Eurogame mechanics and wargame mechanics. For example, you get 2 meeples in this game. The game takes about half an hour to play. you have a few objectives. One of your objectives is you can focus on armaments, be the aggressive guy, war game, or you can focus on public opinion. So this game puts you in a situation where you might start the Civil War. Can you live with that? So with Fort Sumter, what do you get? You get a mounted board, 50 wooden tokens, 2 meeples, 40 strategy cards, 12 objective cards. Fort Sumter, designed by Mark Herman, card-driven game, published by GMT. Thank you for watching. If you want to know more about war games, please check out my channel, No Enemies Here.
Welcome to Tantrum House HQ. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Katie, and today on the Throwdown, we have Most Wanted by North Star Games in the blue corner.
And we've got Rock, Paper, Wizard from WizKids in the red corner.
Most Wanted is a 2 to 8 player Old West themed game in which players choose actions based on what they think they can do with a hand of traditional style playing cards. With these cards, players are trying to build a poker style winning set. The goal is to become the most wanted, and to do that by challenging others to duels, robbing banks and robbing trains, etc. The winner of the game is the first to make it to the top of the infamy track.
Rock, Paper, Wizard is a 3 to 6 player game in which players are wizards fighting over a dragon's horde. Each turn, players will choose one of the drawn spells to cast at another player. Players resolve spells in turn order. After all players have cast their spells, the wizards in the very front get 5 gold pieces, and the second place wizards get 3. Whoever gets 25 gold pieces first wins.
So today we're looking at 2 different games where players are vying for positions on a track. Ryan, tell me about the favorite parts of Rock, Paper, Wizard.
Rock, Paper, Wizard is one of those games that's real quick to get into, but ends up being a very strategic battle of the wits. Plus, this has some sweet graphic design by Josh Capel, so it's just a real joy to play. What's your take on Most Wanted?
Well, I love that it is a great shoot-'em-up Wild West theme. I also really like that it's based on traditional card hands, so the things you're kind of already familiar with. But it isn't all about how great your cards are. It is about how well you use your actions. And so everybody's kind of got this chance to win, even if you don't have great cards.
Let us know which one is your favorite in the comments.
Today we're reviewing Terraforming Mars by Stronghold Games. I'm Mark Maya. Welcome to Board Game Coffee, Espresso Edition. Terraforming Mars is a 1 to 5 player hand and resource manager where players take on the role of giant corporations and work together to make the red planet livable for us lowly humans, while at the same time trying to screw each other over so you have more points than the other guy. And it's pretty freaking awesome. But I gotta admit, as much as I like Terraforming Mars, I was a bit hesitant the first time I saw it. I mean, it's not the prettiest game. What's the word for it? It looks kind of, blah. It kind of reminds me of something your grade school science teacher would pull out to trick you into learning something. And the cards, although a unique piece of artwork unto themselves, look more like the result of a Google image search. But looks aside, I always have a good time playing. There's such a sense of accomplishment when you get your resource engine going. Produce resources, use those resources to produce more technology, and then use that technology to produce more resources. So good. The game plays on the premise of generations. I'll accomplish as much as I can in my lifespan so that future generations can build on that and work toward our ultimate goal, terraforming Mars. Now, as much as I'm not a fan of the art on the cards, I must admit they play really well into the theme. The game has over 200 unique cards, so I get it. I'm not expecting beautifully hand-painted images for each one. And once you get into the terraforming groove, you begin to overlook their aesthetic inconsistencies, and begin to accept and even appreciate their individuality. A big part of terraforming Mars involves hand building, not deck building, since players don't actually have a deck to build. Building your hand, or managing your hand, involves players picking up 4 cards at a time and paying 3 credits for each card they want to keep. The rest, they toss. And more often than not, you're going to want most, if not all, the cards you're shown. But you're gonna have to make the call. There's just so many decisions, and every decision matters. Even if you don't know it yet, it does. So what's my final verdict? If you're a new player looking to break into the board game world, I'd start with something a little lighter. But if you're looking for a strategic competitive game that makes you think, then Terraforming Mars is a must-have.
So what can you expect to see from the Dice Tower this week? Well, I already said we're going to be doing some unboxings. You'll get to see all the stuff that we brought back from Gen Con. Some of these games that I've played, we're going to flip some of the games and get some hot new games reviewed for you. We'll be doing some live stuff this week, so when is all that stuff going to happen? You're going to have to watch and see when it's exactly scheduled. I'm not sure at this point. Just landed back from Gen Con here, so lots of cool things coming out this week. But meanwhile, check out all our different podcasts that we have on our network at dicetowernetwork.com.
Hello everyone, my name's Annette, and you may know me as Netters Plays. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of Morels. So in this two-player game, you're going into a forest and you're collecting different types of mushrooms to cook them up. This game is all about set collection, so let me show you a little bit about that and why I really like it. Every player will start off with 3 cards in their hand, along with a pan to cook on. On your turn, you'll be able to do one of 5 actions. One of your actions is to take a card from the forest. You start your trek wherever this mushroom is located. Out of the first 2 cards, you can take any one of these and add it to your hand. Any cards that are further along the path will require some walking sticks. If you were to take a card, then the card that's closest to the entrance will go into the decay area. The mushroom will move forward, and then you'll add 2 more cards to the forest. Another action is to take all the cards in the decay area. There can be up to 4 cards here. Another action is to take 1 pan from your hand and add it in front of you. You can also cook up 3 mushrooms that are similar, either in a pan in hand or a pan that you've placed previously. If you have 3 or more of the same type of mushroom, you can add butter or even apple cider into your dish. The last potential action is to sell off some mushrooms, and you can sell them for walking sticks. Throughout the game, you'll be picking mushrooms from the forest. Some mushrooms will decay. You'll eventually be cooking up some mushrooms to gain points. Once the deck is done, the game is over. Whoever has the most points wins. So as you can see, this game is all about set collection. You're trying to collect similar types of mushrooms along your trek into the forest. Sometimes they'll be right in front of you, and other times you might have to trek in a little further with your walking sticks. This game is also all about theme. I really enjoy the fact how the theme is applied to this set collection game. There's a little bit of strategy and some tactics, however, the theme just ties it up all so well. And that's why I really like Morels. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Hi, Mike Delisio from Solomode Games here with my post-Gen Con report. At the risk of being cliche, I kind of want to talk a little bit about what I brought back from the convention. But first of all, if you came by the Dice Tower booth at Gen Con and we had a chance to say hey, thank you so much. It was really a thrill. It's always wonderful to meet fans of the Dice Tower and have a chance to talk to them. So, what did I bring back? I'm going to start back with some smaller games, and not all of these are solo games, by the way, as you might expect most of them are, but not all. I have an Oink game, one of the new Oink games releases, Flotsam Fight. I really do like the Oink games. I think they're charming little games. Big games in small packages, and speaking of small packages, I also met the designer of Dig, Chris Handy, and he was kind enough to show me a game of Dig, and so I brought a copy of that back. Looking forward to playing that. Strawberry Ninja is another game that I had heard about a while back. Have not had a chance to see it in the wild, but I saw a copy there at the convention, and I'm looking forward to playing that game. Palm Island, I also had the pleasure of speaking with the designer of Palm Island, and he walked me through the game, and it's a very intriguing game played in the palm of your hand. We also have Space Park here from Keymaster Games. Beautiful components. I actually played through this as a multiplayer game, and I enjoyed it. It's a fun filler. I'm looking forward to trying it as a solo game. Now we've got Monster Crunch here. This is not a game that is solo, but boy does it hit my nostalgia meter off the charts. I love the characters from those breakfast cereals. Now on to some of the big games here. The Big Score from Van Ryder Games. I had really been anticipating this. I'm looking forward to giving this one a shot. My Little Scythe is something that I've been waiting for. As soon as I heard about it, I was all in, and I'm finally going to get a chance to try this out. The Reckoners, a pure co-op with incredible components. Game Trays did most of the components in this game, and it is just stunning to look at. The designers gave me a quick demo, and I'm very much on board with that. And then finally, what to me seems to be the game of the convention, which is Root, and I also got a copy of the expansion, which allows it to be played solo or cooperatively. I played a multiplayer game of Root on Wednesday, and I was absolutely knocked out. Could not have enjoyed the game more, so I'm really intrigued to see how the solo game plays out. Well, there you have it. What I brought back from Gen Con. I hope that if you went, you had a wonderful time. And as always, thank you so much and have a great day.
Happy breakfast, everybody. And today I'm going to talk to you about Fae. Now, in this game, you are going to secretly be trying to get one colour to score the most points. Now, you're doing this secretly, so you can be moving any colour on your turn, and you can be moving monks from one region to the next. As soon as one region has no monks surrounding it, a ritual happens, and points are scored, and so on. The game goes on till so many rituals have taken place, and then whichever colour sort of was involved with the most, basically has won. Now, why I feel like the colours of the game, and actually the Game Boy itself, let the game down most, I actually don't like this sort of re-theming, because the original game, Clans, I feel has a much stronger, sort of an easier to explain theme. In that, instead of monks going around and rituals happening, there's sort of huts that the clans, the tribes are moving around, and it's almost like they're sort of nomadic, moving around, but then finally they settle down when enough of them group together. I just feel like that sort of works in my head, and is at least easier to explain than monks move, when there's enough of them, they do a ritual, and sometimes they disappear and stuff like that. Anyway, has there been games that you've found have been re-themed when they've been reprinted, and you haven't liked them, or you have liked them more or less? Let me know in the comments section below, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
So how many times do you play a game? Now, this isn't that age-old argument about how many times you need to play a game to review it. I'm just talking about how many times someone plays a game. This was mentioned to me a few times over the past week where someone said, oh, I played this game hundreds of times or thousands of times or dozens of times. The fact is I think there's some sort of phenomenon that makes us think we've done something more than we actually have. If you keep track of your gameplays, and a lot of people do keep track of every gameplay they've done, they can look it up and say, oh, I've played such and such so many times. And I'm also not talking about playing online, because it's pretty easy to have played a game 50, 100 times really quickly when you're doing an app version of it or an online version of it. But if you sit down and calculate exactly how many times you do something, it can seem like you do it a whole lot more. Like, oh man, I've been to this place hundreds of times. Well, maybe you've been there 6. I don't know. And I'm curious, because I know that I've done this in the past where I have kept track of how many times I've done something. It's like, I thought I did a whole lot more than that. We have this selective memory where I'll go back and be like, yeah, I remember that. It took 6 hours and it didn't. Or it seemed like forever. That's pretty much all I have this week for you. Just something I was thinking about. I'm sure there's scientific explanations for it. But we'll be back on the ball next week. I'll try to have a more fulfilling Tom Thinks for you. But we're still a little frazzled from Gen Con. But no conventions now in the future. Let's get back to normality.
Hi, I'm Gil Mello.
And I'm Gabby, and this is Time to Play.
And this week, what did we play?
We played Medieval Academy. I really liked this game.
Yeah, so what is Medieval Academy about?
Medieval Academy is where you are a squire trying to win over the princess's heart through jousting and tournaments.
Yeah, so it's basically like a drafting game where you're going to be drafting cards, going around, and then after each round you have draft all your cards, you're going to play a card and put your chips on different locations, on the tournament, on the knight, on the king's court, and on the gallantry, and then depending on the round you score for different parts of the board. So what did you like about the game?
I liked the drafting of this game. The drafting was really fun. I liked how sometimes you would get all good cards, but you could only choose one card. sometimes you'll get all bad cards.
Yeah, and also you have to pay attention on which board to score at which time. Like some boards will score in every round, some boards only score in some rounds. There's the dragon that you use a lot of points. There are some of the boards that you don't score anything. Actually, you lose points if you're at the end. So it's very interesting, very quick. I think it plays in 30 to 40 minutes. Medieval Academy is designed by Nicolas Ponchin. It's very easy, very good production as always for Yellow. So what do you think about the game? 2 thumbs up?
2 thumbs up.
All right, so 2 thumbs up. Well, you only had 1 thumbs up, so 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
There you go. That's Medieval Academy from Yellow. And I'll see you guys next time. Happy breakfast, everybody.
Happy breakfast. Bye.
Hey, this is Mike with Board Game Makeover. In about 6 hours, I will be on a plane heading to Gen Con. I'll be working with the Dice Tower booth, so if you want to say hi, come on by. I'd love to say hi to you. Now, if you're like me, you love board games, and your collection is growing faster than your space. I have to keep my collection to about 200 or so board games, and there's so many good games coming out that it's causing quite a problem, so I'm always looking for ways to save space. Of course, one of the easy ways is by combining expansions. But what about combining board games? Which board games are so similar that you might combine them in order to save space? Of course, board games that similar, you'd only want to keep 1 copy of it probably, one or the other. These 3 board games are completely different games, but the cards can be used in each of the other games. And they are Muse, Codename Pictures, and Dixit. 3 really fun games I want to keep in my collection. But how do I combine these 3? Getting rid of those and putting everything in 1 box. Now I can play all 3 of those games from 1 box and taking up less space in my game collection. I hope to see you at Gen Con. I hope you have a great con if you're there, and if not, then I hope you have some great gaming to do. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. I will see you next time.
To the pitch. Dave, we have to talk about these games.
Yes.
You know, we're on holidays and we have a lot of people around us to play with. Yes. And we have these games with us. Nations. First one. It's just not a dumb, fun summer game. It's very severe.
People love it.
People love it for at home, when it's cold, but not out here in the sea. It's just not a good game for here. Brings me to the next item on my list. Between Two Cities.
Oh, it is a hidden gem.
Yes, it is. I'm sure it is, and it's a lot of fun to play.
It plays up to 7 people.
Yes, it does. But
cooperative, people help each other out.
Very true, but the scoring takes so long, and you do it. People sit around, and by the time you're done, they have forgotten they played this game after all.
Well, that's true.
That's very true.
But because they don't know it yet.
Yes, very true. But we want to lure people, non-gamers, into the hobby. So that brings me to this one, which I can't even lift. It is so heavy.
Near and far. And I even have the expansion. Oh, there's hours and hours of gameplay in this game.
Just my point. Hours and hours. It takes so long that we have to move the table out of the sun by the time the second round comes along. It's just too long. So I guess, my love, what I'm saying is, we need another game.
What?
Yes. The time has come that I have to admit that we need to buy a new game.
Yes, I think we do. Oh, but the nearest game store is like 2 hours away.
But it is in Orléans. And there's a game called Orléans, isn't there?
Oh, there is.
You might just find that there.
Oh, that would be amazing.
So, the Luza household is getting a new game.
Oops, in Orléans.
Andy and Ellen, we game together.
It's your turn.
Oops.
I'm ready.
I'm Ellen. Welcome to Games Just Played. We're coming at you from Cape Girardeau, Missouri. We're standing up against my grandma's house. I love it here. We're having a great vacation.
We're in the alley.
We're literally in an alley.
Because
it's kind of sketchy.
the lighting is pretty decent and there's not as many cars.
The traffic is insane. So here we are. Today we're talking about Raiders of the North Sea.
Yes, we played it 2 players. We played it with the Halls of Heroes expansion.
Loved it.
And it was quite good. I like the worker placement is one of our favorite mechanics. And we actually didn't have very many worker placements, so this was a perfect addition.
It was so fun. I loved it. Now that we've played it with Hall of Heroes, I don't think I'm ever going to play it without it. It filled in some gaps that
Not with 2 players, so I could definitely see if without the expansion how it would kind of fall flat with 2 players.
Exactly. There wasn't a lot going on with just the base, but with the expansion, we loved it. I was literally giggling out of happiness throughout playing. It was so fun. I had a blast.
I like the different color meeple workers. So only certain workers can go to certain places. So, there's white, gray,
black. It kind of
black.
restricts where you're able to go. So you got to plan ahead for that. Going on raids is super fun because you can be like, I just went on a raid and took stuff, and it's super fun to do that.
And there's a little bit of, making sure that somebody can't go where they wanted to go, kind of. Because you have to place a worker first, and then you pick up a worker second. So if you don't have a worker placed where somebody wants to go first, you can stop them from possibly raiding that time.
Which he did to me a few times. I love that mechanic. It's so different. I've not quite seen anything like that. You pick down, or you put down, do the action, then you pick up and play that action. That is so cool.
Yeah.
We loved it.
And we're going to pick up the Fields of Fame expansion. We're actually in Cape Girardeau, which is an hour or so south of St. Louis. But on the way back, we're going to go to Miniature Market and pick it up.
We can't wait. Bye, guys. We'll see you next time on Games Just Played.
See ya. We're back. Almost forgot. Picture of the day. It's a brick wall.
It's a brick wall, guys.
Oh, my name's Dan. This is Cora. And we're here today to talk to you about children's games. Although, we're here to talk to you today about a family game. Because this is a game you can play with the whole family. And adults too. It's called...
Number 9.
Number 9. Spelled wrong, look. What's that about? Number 9 is a tile-laying game where you're fitting together Tetris-like pieces, or polyominoes if you want to get all fancy about it. The aim of the game is to build up the tiles into layers. They're all numbered and the players are going to score points depending on what layer the pieces are on. Tiles on the bottom layer score nothing, tiles on the second score their number value, the tiles on the third layer score double their number value, fourth, triple, and so on. There's got various rules about how to place the tiles, and it's often not quite as easy as it sounds, as they're very awkwardly shaped. So Cora, what do you think about number 9?
I think it's good because it's really hard, and so you see that's piled up on 2. It's really hard to find places to do that.
It's really hard to find places to pile them up, isn't it? And some of them don't go together very well, do they? Like number 7.
Definitely not number 7.
Number 7's very annoying. But would you recommend this game to play with people's families and things like that, do you think? Yeah? Yeah. So would I. I really like...
don't have little ones, like really little ones.
Yeah, really little ones wouldn't cope with it. I think you're just at the point where you can cope with this now. I think a year ago, I think you'd have really struggled. But if you've got a 6-year-old like me, then this is a real Bobby Dazzler, isn't it? So we give it 9 fingers and thumbs up.
No. I just did that.
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Next week I'll be back in the studio where you'll hear better audio and everything will be back to normal. So I'll see you then. Thanks to all the contributors for doing a great job. Some of them were at Gen Con and out, so you didn't see all those segments. Everything will be back to normal next week, and I'll see you then. But until then, I'm Tom Vassell. You've been watching Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.